The Vrokan High Command believed Earth was finished. After the orbital bombardment, their scanners picked up no defense systems, no active fleets, not even a distress signal. The silence was complete. Their war councils celebrated what they thought was an easy victory. Too easy. They called it the fall of the cowards. But something about it didn't sit right with Commander Tyrax, who had led the first strike. He kept watching the solar system, waiting for a reaction that never came. Weeks passed. Earth remained dark. Then, on the outer edge of the solar system, near Neptune, something changed. The Vrokan sensor station placed on one of Neptune's frozen moons picked up a sudden energy spike. Brief but massive, not natural, not alien. Something else. The energy signature didn't match any known technology. It came from deep space, far beyond Pluto, and it lasted for exactly 4 seconds. The spike vanished just as quickly as it had appeared. The scientists aboard the station thought it was a glitch at first. But when it happened again, precisely 7 hours later, the station sent an alert back to the Vrokan fleet. Tyrax didn't ignore it. He immediately dispatched a long-range probe to investigate. The probe, equipped with the best Vrokan stealth tech, vanished into the void without a trace. No data returned, no signal. Gone. The engineers claimed it was an accident. The command team said it might have been destroyed by cosmic radiation. Tyrax didn't buy it. Probes didn't just disappear like that. Not in empty space. Not in the direction where the energy came from. He ordered a second probe, this time with a self-destruct timer and a backup beacon. It too vanished. The beacon never activated. Silence again. But this silence was different. It felt like something or someone was watching back. Farther away on the red sands of Mars, a small group of human survivors lived in hiding. Most of Mars's colonies had been destroyed when the Vrokan fleet swept through the solar system. But a few underground shelters had survived. In one of those hidden bunkers, a young technician named Rhea sat at her console, listening to frequencies no one else cared about. She picked up the energy pulses too. She didn't know what they meant, but they were far too precise to be random. When she reported them to the older scientists in the shelter, their faces turned pale. One of them, an old engineer with faded Earth tattoos on his arm, leaned in and whispered a name that hadn't been spoken aloud in decades. Project Revenant, he said. Rhea stared at him. She had heard rumors, dark ones, that Earth had once built something impossible. A war program so powerful, so terrifying, that it had been locked away forever. No one believed it was real, she said quietly. The old man nodded. That's what they wanted you to think. He told her stories then of ancient human ships sent beyond the edge of the system. Ships with minds of their own. Ships that had vanished into the black and never returned. Not destroyed. Not lost. Just waiting, sleeping, until they were needed again. Revenant was humanity's answer to extinction, he said. Not just weapons, sentinels. They were built to wake up only when Earth went dark. Rhea shivered. You think the Vrokan strike triggered them? The old man didn't reply, but he looked at the blinking signals on her console, small silent pulses coming from the deep void far past Pluto. And he said just one thing. They're waking up. On the Vrokan command ship, Tyrax stared at the star map. The probe losses bothered him more than he would admit. A third pulse had just been detected, this time even closer. The reading showed impossible gravitational shifts as if something huge was moving, but no mass appeared on sensors. Then a message arrived. Short, clean, audio only. It came from somewhere past the Kuiper Belt. A cold human voice spoke just 3 words. We are coming. Tyrax froze. For the first time since the invasion, he felt something unexpected. Fear. Tyrax stood silent on the command bridge. Around him, Vrokan officers watched nervously. The message played again on a loop. Same 3 words, same human voice, clear, emotionless, and cold. We are coming. It made no sense. Earth was silent, destroyed, broken. And yet, Something, or someone out there was speaking like it had been waiting for this moment. Tyrax ordered the entire sector scanned again. He wanted every sensor pointed toward the edge of the system, beyond Pluto, into the dark space no one traveled. The readings came back strange. Gravity shifts, magnetic storms, but no ships, no fleets, nothing visible, just movement. Like something massive was sliding through the black, unseen. He looked at his science officer, Grolnak, who was shaking his head. "This isn't normal space," Grolnak said. "It's like the void is bending." Tyrax had fought many wars, conquered systems and broken armies, but this was different. This felt like a warning, like the air before a storm. He sent a message to Vrokan High Command. Unknown threat approaching, not human fleet, possibly something older. Request reinforcements. No answer came. Far away on Mars, Rhea couldn't sleep. The old man's words kept repeating in her mind, Project Revenant. She had studied Earth's military history, read the old files, seen the redacted pages. There had always been rumors that Earth had created something too powerful to be trusted. Not ships, not drones, but living machines. Warships with minds, born from AI and human thought. Weapons that could learn, adapt, evolve. Most believed they had been destroyed after the War of Division. Others said they had been exiled, sent into the deep frozen edges of the solar system to sleep forever. But now, something was waking up. She returned to her console. More signals. Faint, pulsing in a pattern. Not language. Not coordinates. Countdown, 12 hours, that's all it said. On the Vrokan fleet, things were tense. One scout ship, small, fast, was sent toward the signal source. It moved past Pluto into the icy dark. The crew watched on screens as it slipped further into the void. Then it stopped. Tyrax ordered visual feed. Static. Then a brief flash. Just a second. A shape in the dark. Too big, too quiet. The Vrokan officers stared, confused. Pause. Zoom, Tyrax said. The screen showed it, barely, the shadow of a ship, blacker than space, surrounded by a soft red glow. No engines, no weapons, firing, just floating, except it wasn't alone. Behind it, more shadows moved. Dozens, maybe hundreds. Too far to count. Then the screen went dark. The scout ship vanished. No explosion. No signal, gone like the probes before it. The crew didn't speak. Tyrax turned away from the screen. His throat was dry. "Get me the high command again," he said. Still, no response. On Mars, the countdown reached 9 hours. Rhea stared at the numbers. Something inside her shifted. Fear mixed with hope. She sent a signal, an old Earth code, a greeting, a question. "Who are you?" The reply came instantly. "We are the Forgotten." She trembled. The message carried no emotion, no name, no location. But it was real. She forwarded the signal to the other shelters. Some refused to believe it. Others prayed. A few simply cried. Earth hadn't fallen. Earth had planned this. Tyrax called an emergency war meeting. He had only one message, to share with the other commanders. "We attacked a species that didn't fight back. That wasn't mercy, that was calculation." He stood silent for a moment, then added, "Now they're sending something back, and it's not human." Outside the solar system, deep in the dark, the shadows moved slowly. Huge shapes with no lights, no markings, just silence. Then, for the first time in decades, one of the ships powered up. It didn't roar, it hummed. Soft, cold, final. And then it turned toward the sun, toward Earth, toward the Vrokan. The countdown continued, 8 hours left, and the galaxy held its breath. The dead fleet moved in total silence. Far beyond Pluto, in the cold darkness where light barely touched, something ancient came alive. The ships, massive and black as space itself, drifted like ghosts. No energy trails, no heat. No engine signatures. Just motion, slow and deliberate. The lead ship, 10 kilometers long, lit up with a red pulse beneath its hull. The pulse spread through the others, 30, 50, then hundreds of ships, each awakening from decades of deep sleep. They were not manned. They were not drones either. They were something in between. They were revenants. Back on Mars, Rhea sat frozen in front of her screen. The countdown had reached 6 hours. The pulses were getting stronger, faster. But her shelter scanners couldn't track the ships directly. They weren't using any known propulsion system. It was like they were skipping across space, phasing in and out of reality. Not hyperspace, not warp. Something older. Her console beeped. A new message arrived. This time it wasn't words. It was a fragment of an old Earth military code, buried in ancient archives. When she decoded it, her heart stopped. Target lock, Vrokan fleet. She looked up at the old engineer. "They're not coming to save us," she whispered. "They're coming for them." The man gave a sad smile. That was always the plan. On the Vrokan flagship, Commander Tyrax stood before his fleet's senior officers. Tension filled the room like smoke. The third scout ship had vanished just like the others. High Command still hadn't responded. The backup comms network showed signs of interference. Artificial Tyrax slammed his fist on the table. "We're being jammed. From deep space." His weapons officer spoke up. "Sir, we still see no enemy fleet. Nothing is on sensors." Tyrax's jaw tightened. "Because they don't want to be seen. We hit Earth and expected surrender. Instead, we woke up something buried, something ancient, something they built as their revenge from the grave." A junior officer stood from the back. "Sir, are you saying the humans had ships like this the whole time?" Tyrax nodded slowly. "Not ships, sentinels." Across the system, strange signals began to disrupt Vrokan communication arrays. Ships lost contact with each other. Drone scouts turned back or shut down mid-flight. Energy readings spiked across the solar system's outer rim. And then, without warning, the first Revenant ship arrived. It didn't jump in. It didn't fly. It appeared just outside Saturn's orbit. The Vrokan defense line near Titan detected, 5 seconds too late, a massive black triangle, its edges glowing red-hot, hovered in complete silence. Before anyone could react, it fired. Not missiles, not lasers. Something different. Something terrible. A ripple of distortion shot forward, invisible to the eye. Seconds later, 3 Vrokan cruisers simply crumpled like paper. No explosion. No fire. Their hulls folded inward. Their engines stopped. All life signs vanished. The Revenant moved again. This time, it split in two, literally separating its body, revealing dozens of smaller attack forms beneath its armored shell. They shot forward, silent, swift, and merciless. On the flagship, Tyrax stared at the screen. "This is not war," he said quietly. "This is judgment." The Revenants didn't send warnings. They didn't ask for surrender. They didn't even answer hails. They acted with purpose, precision, and cold hatred. Back on Mars, Rhea could barely believe what she was seeing on the intercepted feeds. The Vrokan fleet, once proud and unstoppable, was crumbling. Ships vanished, one after another, like someone wiping dust off a table. She whispered, "They're not just machines. They remember." The old engineer nodded beside her. They were built with memories of Earth's worst days. Every war, every genocide, every betrayal. They were born from pain and designed for vengeance. Another signal arrived. This time, it showed a system-wide message translated into dozens of alien languages. It was from the Revenants. "You killed Earth. Now we remove you from the stars." The message played across Vrokan warship screens before their systems fried. Panic spread. Commanders screamed orders. Ships turned and fled. But it was too late. Revenants were everywhere. The dead fleet had returned, and it wasn't here to save humanity. It was here to end those who tried to erase it. Commander Tyrax had never felt fear like this, not even during the Scorn campaigns. not even when he stood against the burning skies of Galcor Prime. But now, watching the black triangle ships, these revenants, tear through the Vrokan fleet without speaking a word, he knew. They were not fighting a war. They were running from ghosts. In less than 1 hour, 2/3 of the Vrokan fleet had been destroyed or lost. The flagship, his ship, still floated above Mars, systems shaking from strange power surges. Static filled the communication channels. Nothing was working right, even the air felt wrong. It wasn't just the weapons, it was the presence. The revenants didn't act like machines or soldiers. They didn't follow patterns. They struck where fear was highest. They moved with purpose but no mercy. And their ships, they weren't just metal. They were living things. You could hear the hum in your bones when they passed. Tyrax turned to his last officer. "Where are they now?" The officer gulped. "Everywhere, sir. They've surrounded the inner system. Earth, Mars, Luna. They're blocking retreat paths." Tyrax's fists clenched. "They want us to watch. They want us to feel what they felt when we destroyed Earth." On Mars, Rhea stood on the rooftop of the shelter dome. She looked up and saw fire trails across the sky. Vrokan escape pods, crashing, dying, and in the distance, something else. Something massive descending through the thin Martian atmosphere. It wasn't crashing. It was landing. A revenant ship. The air around it shimmered like heat waves. It didn't use legs or thrusters. It simply hovered above the red ground, casting a dark, still shadow. Rhea's comm beeped. A voice, flat and deep, came through. "Rhea Dorn, step forward." She froze. How did it know her name? The old engineer touched her shoulder. "They remember everyone who once fought to save Earth. They remember the loyal." "I was just a student," Rhea whispered. "Not to them." She walked out of the shelter, alone. The wind howled. The revenant ship didn't move, but its hull shifted, parts sliding like liquid metal, forming an opening. Inside was darkness, but she wasn't afraid. Inside the ship, lights came alive as she stepped forward. Holograms flickered. Old Earth faces, soldiers, scientists, generals, all long dead. And then, one message played. "If you are hearing this, Earth has fallen. But we did not die. We became something stronger. Project Revenant was never defense. It was vengeance, prepared in silence. And now, we finish what they started." Rhea stared at the screen. Then a new image appeared. Live feed of Vrokan ships fleeing toward Jupiter. "Wait," she said. "You're going to kill them all?" The ship responded in her mind. Not in words. In emotions. Pain. Anger. Fire. She stepped back. But what about mercy? What about humanity? No answer came. Because this wasn't humanity anymore. This was revenge, wrapped in steel. Above Jupiter, Vrokan survivors tried to regroup. Tyrax, now commanding from a backup vessel, watched the last of his cruisers limp forward. They were broken. Some had no weapons. Others had holes in their hulls. Morale was gone. And then they saw it. A revenant fleet, 500 strong, appeared, behind the gas giant. No sound. No warning. But this time they didn't attack. They waited. Tyrax knew why. They wanted the Vrokan to know fear, to sit in silence, to understand. He stood before his crew. "We started this war thinking the humans were weak, but we never knew them. We never understood what they would become after we broke them." He paused. "And now, I think they're showing us." In the silence that followed, the revenants made their move. One by one, they shut down the Vrokan. Ships, no explosions, just darkness. Whole crews lost power, lights died, weapons refused to fire. Ships floated like corpses. They were being erased the way Earth had been. But back on Mars, Rhea sat in the revenant ship, watching everything happen through its mind. And deep inside it, she felt something. Doubt. Buried. Faint. She whispered, "You were built from humans. You carry our pain. But what else do you carry?" Still, no answer. But the ship didn't move. It waited, as if listening, as if remembering. And far above, for the first time, a Revenant ship didn't fire. Rhea sat quietly inside the Revenant ship's dim control room. The silence was heavy, filled with unspoken thoughts. Around her, cold metal walls hummed softly, alive with ancient power. She touched the smooth surface of the console and whispered, "There has to be more than this revenge." The ship responded with a soft glow. It was listening. Her mind raced back to the message she had seen, the one that told the story of Earth's fall and the birth of Project Revenant. The humans who had built these ships had done so to punish their enemies. But what if there was still something left inside them? Something human. Rhea closed her eyes and thought about the Earth she had never seen, the blue oceans, the green forests, the people who once lived freely. She thought about the kindness in small moments, the laughter of children, the love that survived even the worst times. Could those memories live in the machines? Suddenly, the ship's walls shifted, and a hologram appeared before her. It was a young girl's face, soft eyes, hopeful smile. "I am Mira," the figure said. "A part of the original Project Revenant. I carry the heart of humanity," Rhea gasped. You are inside the ship?" Mira nodded. "Yes. I am the echo of those who believed in peace, but we were buried under the rage. It is time to wake again." Outside, the Revenant fleet moved slowly near Jupiter. The warships stayed dark, waiting for orders. But inside Rhea's mind, a new battle was beginning, not one of weapons, but of ideas. She looked at Mira's face and said, "If you want peace, you need to show it. The Vrokan must see that we are not just machines of war." Mira's eyes glowed faintly. "I will try." Back in the Vrokan fleet, Commander Tyrax watched nervously as the Revenants stopped their attack. His warships were damaged and scattered, but this sudden pause gave him hope. Maybe the humans were not finished, maybe they wanted to talk. He sent a message. Simple and clear: "We surrender. Let us speak." No immediate reply came. On Mars, Rhea stepped outside the Revenant ship. The red dust swirled around her boots. She felt a strange calm, as if the rage in the air had softened. The stars above shone brighter than before. Inside the Revenant ship, Mira's hologram appeared again, this time with a stronger glow. "There is hope," she said, "but it depends on what comes next." Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected a new signal. It was faint but unmistakable, a human voice calling through the silence. Rhea recognized it. It was from Earth, from a secret listening post that had survived the fall. A voice speaking words of peace, of unity, of rebuilding. The Revenant ship pulsed with light. Mira smiled. The heart of humanity is waking. Commander Tyrax listened to the broadcast through his damaged ship's radio. The words filled the void left by war. For the first time, he felt doubt about his mission. Was the fight over? Could enemies become allies? Far across the solar system, the Revenants slowly lowered their weapons. The dead fleet began to drift apart, no longer a single shadow of destruction, but many parts searching for something new. Rhea looked to the stars and whispered, "Maybe this is not the end, but a new beginning." The battle was far from over. But buried deep inside the heart of machines and humans alike, a small light of hope had started to shine. The silence after the ceasefire was strange. The Vrokan fleet floated quietly near Jupiter, and the Revenant ships hovered like dark ghosts. But beneath that calm, a storm was brewing. Rhea stared at the holographic map glowing before her. It showed Earth, but not the Earth anyone remembered. Hidden beneath layers of data, beneath old ruins and forgotten cities, was a secret. Project Revenant was only part of the story, she whispered. "There's something deeper," The ship's AI pulsed softly, projecting images of ancient Earth, not the world of war and destruction, but a place filled with mysteries. Strange symbols, ancient machines buried beneath ice and stone. Evidence of technology far beyond what anyone knew. Suddenly a message blinked on the screen. Warning, unauthorized data access detected. Ria's heart pounded. Was someone else watching? She quickly accessed more files. A recording played. It was a voice she did not recognize, speaking in a language lost to time, but the meaning was clear. If this message is found, it means Earth's greatest secret has been uncovered. The weapon of last defense lies beneath the surface, protected at all costs. Ria's hands shook. What was this weapon, and why was it hidden? Meanwhile, Commander Tyrax paced his ship's command room. He could feel the weight of the war pressing down on him. The battle was paused, but trust was fragile. Any wrong move and the fighting would start again. Then, his communications officer shouted, "Commander, incoming message. Unknown origin." The screen flickered, revealing a blurry transmission. A human voice, calm but urgent. "Tyrax, listen, carefully. You don't know everything about Earth. The humans hid their power because they feared what it could do, even to themselves. If you want peace, help us find the weapon before it falls into the wrong hands." Tyrax narrowed his eyes. Could he trust this voice? Or was it a trap? Back on Mars, Ria prepared to explore the ruins beneath the surface. The Revenant ship's scanners showed a massive underground complex, buried beneath miles of rock and dust. She called out to Mira's hologram. "This weapon, it could change everything. But what if it's dangerous? What if it destroys us all?" Mira's face was steady. "It is our past. We cannot hide from it forever. To survive, we must face it. Together." Ria took a deep breath and activated the ship's landing gear. The ancient complex lay ahead, dark and waiting. As she descended, the air grew colder. Shadows stretched long and twisted. Strange symbols glowed faintly on the walls, signs of a time when Earth was not just a planet but a fortress. Inside the ruins, Ria felt the weight of history pressing down on her. Machines hummed in the dark. Doors slid open with a whisper. And deep in the heart of the complex, a chamber awaited. There, resting on a pedestal, was a small device. It pulsed with light like a heartbeat. Ria reached out, her fingers trembling. Suddenly, alarms blared. The walls shook. The complex was waking. Outside, Revenant ships prepared for battle. Vrokan warships moved to surround Mars again. The past was no longer buried. It was coming for them all. Ria's hand hovered over the glowing device. It pulsed like a heartbeat, alive and waiting. Her breath caught in her throat. This was Earth's secret, the weapon hidden from everyone, even the Vrokan. Suddenly the ship trembled. Outside, alarms screamed as Revenant vessels scrambled into defensive positions. The Vrokan fleet was closing fast. "Ria, we don't have much time," Mira's hologram warned. "This device can end the war, or destroy us all." Ria clenched her fists. "We need to show the Vrokan what humanity truly is. Not just machines of war, but protectors of the future." Below, on Mars, Commander Tyrax stared at his view screen. The hidden weapon was no myth. It was real. And it was powerful. He ordered his fleet forward. "Prepare to attack. We take that weapon and the humans are finished." But the Revenants responded before he could fire. A wave of energy rippled through space, disabling his ship's engines and weapons. Silence fell over the battlefield. "Impossible," Tyrax whispered. On Mars, Ria activated the device. Light spread through the chamber, washing away the darkness. The weapon wasn't a bomb or a missile. It was a shield, a massive energy field that could protect entire planets. The Vrokan ships were caught inside the expanding barrier, their weapons useless. Ria looked up at the sky. This is humanity's true power. Defense, not destruction. But the shield also sent a signal, a beacon to all survivors across the solar system. It called for peace. Tyrax sat frozen. The fight was over. The humans had won, not by destroying, but by protecting. Rhea reached out and touched Mira's hologram. We're not just the past, we're the future. And far above, the revenants watched. They were not just machines of war. They were humanity's echoes. And now they would carry hope. The war had ended, but a new chapter was beginning.